Here with the Sean Kiracofe as we get ready for a crazy week in NSU volleyball. But first, Coach, I got to ask, how you feeling? A little sickness last week, but seems like you're back to 100%, right?
I am back.
That's always good to hear. I'm glad to have you back here for Sean Kiracofe Show, week number, whatever it is already, I've lost count. But like I said, big week this week. UCLA at home opener on Monday, another match on Tuesday, and then off to the Pacific Northwest this weekend. But first, before we talk about any of that, recap for me if you can this past weekend. 3 tough matches there at Mississippi State. Saw some good things, saw some things we need to work on, but kind of a typical sort of opening weekend where there's a lot of room for growth for our team.
I think every time we have these discussions at the beginning of the year, you know, each match provides just a different style, usually, that we're playing against that you don't see on a regular basis. In our gym, from a practice standpoint, Eastern Kentucky was really scrappy. We touched a ton of balls at the net on our block, or with our block, I should say, and they covered a bunch of them, which is something that I think every coach, you know, tries to get their teams to do, and they obviously work on that in their gym. And it just provided them second and third and sometimes 4 opportunities to be able to score, and they took advantage of that. They also did a great job of swinging high hands and tooling us when they started to realize that we were going to be a good block at the net. And we're getting a lot of points that way, which is just a great thing for us to work through, just from making sure we line up our block correctly, and then just kind of learning how to deal with that frustration of you feel you got them, you got your hand on the ball, but it doesn't go your way. And we're going to see that in conference. We have a lot of teams in our conference that do a great job of doing that. So to see it early is great. Long first intro to the first match. And then Lafayette was great in that their offense was extremely fast. They run their back row offense the way I want us to run ours and the way we have in the past. And that is something that we have put an emphasis on implementing again into our game and just making that a staple. But in my mind, it's too high and too slow. And in part, I have allowed that just because, and I think our setters have done a great job of this, of getting it in their brains that this is an option no matter what the situation is. And I've wanted that first. And then I was like, okay, now I'm going to come in, I'm going to start to speed it up. But then seeing it right in front of our face, you know, the example of like, this is what I really want, I think was a good thing, because ultimately it's not about how hard you hit the ball. It is great if you can do that, but with the speed and the tempo of it, it's just the matter, or the fact that the defense can't be prepared for it and where they need to be to defend it, to spit that phrase out. So that was good. And then Mississippi State was big, and we are going to see other teams like that, notably tomorrow. And so to be able to see that and kind of practice against it was great for us to go into tomorrow.
And it felt like as that match kind of wore on, we got a little more comfortable with the speed, the size, you know, better touches, and at least from my perspective watching that match, that third set was definitely the highlight of that match against Mississippi State. But like you said, you mentioned the blocks. I wanted to touch on that as well. I think we had 12 blocks in that first match. Throughout the weekend, it really seemed like that was one of the big strengths early on, and certainly will be big, like you said, against UCLA as well.
It will. I mean, you just, against bigger teams, they're going to hit the ball down. And you have got to be able to put something in front of them to slow that down or make them choose to hit somewhere else so that your defense can have a chance. Now, I've said in the past, or I'll back up and I'll just say that last year was our best blocking team in the entire time that I've been here. There were definitely, I still had this opinion that it took us a while to figure out how to set up our block in a way that it's helping our backcourt defense, but the numbers that we were putting up from a blocking standpoint just kind of overlapped or overshadowed my opinion of it being not necessarily a team blocking thing. And that's something in the past where we have had some decent blocking numbers, but our block was kind of erratic in how they set up and what they were showing our backcourt. And so it's like, it's not that our blocking numbers were good from a terminal standpoint and we are scoring points. It's that you are making it much more difficult on our defense in the back row to know what to do and how to defend behind you and to make it a team effort, a system effort. That's what we were this weekend. A lot of great individual performances and a great individual blocks in moments. So from the stat sheet, it looked good, but from a team and a system thing, we got to settle it down a little bit so that our backcourt can be in a position to where they're like, okay, I feel like I only have to cover this little area of court.
Right. So as we move into this week, no secret, the UCLA coming in after their weekend down in Baton Rouge. Before even any X's and O's or anything like that, just the opportunity to have a team like UCLA come in here. You don't often get Power Fives on Northwestern State's campus, I mean, baseball and softball, every now and then, and for us to have the opportunity to not only play UCLA, but also to have them here in Prather Coliseum is just it's kind of a big deal.
It is a big deal. It is a big deal to me. I hope other people appreciate that as well. Not only just Power Five, we're talking about a national champion, and as far as volleyball is concerned, one of the teams that has some of the most national championships in the history of women's volleyball. So to have them here is really cool. And so as somebody that was growing up with volleyball, it's just UCLA is synonymous with volleyball, both men and women. And so it's going to be a cool moment for me.
So take a look at the match itself. Obviously still early in the season. Mm-hmm. Still want to, like I said, keep, you talked about the blocking and things we want to continue to work towards and work on. Top 2 or 3 things you're hoping to see against UCLA?
It comes down to our ball control. We have the offensive weapons to make almost anybody in the country respect us from an offensive standpoint if we are in system. And now you can take maybe the top 15 out of that, and it's like, okay, hey, we're big enough, we're good enough, we see this night in and night out, especially your Big Ten teams. But if we are in system, as we showed in the third set against Mississippi State, we can put the ball away. And when you can do that, you make that other team go, okay, well, how do we need to stop this? And they're not just then thinking about their side of, hey, well, let's experiment this offensive. Let's try to get this person the ball a little bit more and see if they can score in these situations. They are now thinking about what they need to do to the other side. And granted, that's something that we have in our conference and everyone else that we play. They've got a game plan against us, and we got a game plan against them. But you got to prove that to Power 5 schools that they need to do that. I know that we have the ability to do that, but if we are constantly pulling our setters off the net, then it just makes it that much easier. You're giving them an easier ball to defend, which then allows them to think, okay, what can we do from an experimental standpoint offensively? It's something that we weren't able to do this weekend. It's something that we knew that was something, to say something twice in 3 words. We knew that was going to be a focus that we needed to work on into this year. So when we started to really figure things out at the end of last year, that's when we implemented Addie into 6 rotations, and adding her into our serve receive, our 3-person serve receive, just really stabilized things and allowed a lot of other things just to start working. Because it just makes it easier on the setters, which makes it easier on your attackers. And replacing her is just something where we got to be able to find that stability in serve receive, and then I think that we can do a ton of great things. And like I said to our team after Mississippi State, when we started to settle down and pass a little bit better and started to be able to run and do some different things that we're capable of doing offensively, then you're going to go, okay, well, everything worked, but it didn't work because they're a big team. And then you learn. And then you figure out how to earn points. And when you earn points against a big team like that, that means something. And then it's going to carry over against the teams that we play in our conference, and it's going to matter for us in how successful we can be.
Yeah. All right, Coach. Like I said, big weekend. It starts with the UCLA. I know we talked a lot about that, but we do have another match on Tuesday night as well. And like you said, Pacific Northwest trip up there, Washington State this weekend. So we'll have plenty more conversations about those matches as the week goes on. So 12:30 tomorrow. The place to be is Prather.
Let's pack it.
Yep. All right. Thanks so much, Coach.